Hey guys, welcome to this episode of The Rachel Cruze Show. And so excited because my friend and co-host of The Ramsey Show and Smart Money Happy Hour, George Camel,
We're
is
here
back.
on another show.
On another show.
We normally do over there.
Am I going to be on your show later?
No promises.
Well, anyway.
Just kidding.
Feeling the love, George. Thanks. Okay, so it's summertime, which means it's moving season. People are always like, even though the housing market's crazy, people are moving, right? So whether it's to get out of a state that they're in, they're changing because of jobs, family, school systems, like whatever the case may be, it is a big deal that people move. And the summertime is usually, again, historically, the uptick season when it comes to housing. So I wanted to bring you on, George, because you and Whitney moved just last year.
Yes.
And so you guys went
movers.
from like newlyweds, you bought a townhome, and then you guys just moved last year
Our first single family.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Okay, so tell me about like the process. Like what caused you guys to move into what you moved in when you were newlyweds, and then the current move that you just made?
So when we first got married, I had an apartment. So she moved into that apartment.
Yeah.
And then we began the process of saving. And luckily, she's really much smarter than me. So she already had no debt and had savings in the bank, which was just a gem. When you get married to someone like that, which it's fine if they have debt and you get married, but it's also even better when you don't have a pile of debt to clean up.
It's great. Yeah.
So that propelled us into the home buying process faster.
Okay.
And so we decided, she found this townhome. It was new construction, reasonably priced. And we went, okay, we get to choose all the finishes. This will be fun.
This is very exciting.
And it was also very stressful.
Very hard.
New construction it's a part-time job.
Oh, yeah. And how quickly those upgrades, small upgrades from this color to that color of your handles will just jack up the price.
Because there's a base price with new construction.
Yes.
And that's basically it's a car, but it doesn't have electric windows. You have to manually so there's all those upgrades that add up quickly. You're like, well, yeah, we want hardwoods. Well, you want level 2 hardwoods or level 3 hardwoods? Because only terrible people get level 2 hardwoods. And so all of a sudden, it keeps ratcheting up. And so we really had to decide what are the must-haves versus what are the things we can compromise on.
Yes, and I think that's great advice, regardless of whether it's a new build or not, because when we built our home, that's what we were experiencing too. I'm like, we had a hard budget, and it was like, you couldn't go over it. Like we drew a line in the sand and was like, this is how much we're going to spend. And you guys probably had the same even with your new construction, your townhome. And if you're even buying a home, know what that line is. Because easily, I feel like, is where you can kind of creep up in price.
Yes.
And start to justify. Do you feel like people do that?
Yeah, you have to decide ahead of time what the budget's going to be. And here's the thing with new construction that is kind of the life hack. The money isn't owed until you close and the house is done. So there was a built-in extra savings time for us.
Which is great.
And ours kept having delays and delays. But for us, we were like, great, more time to save.
Keep saving.
We'll have more money to put down. So it was actually, it was a silver lining.
Yep.
With all the delays to be able to put more down. So when you close on a normal home that's already finished, you don't have that kind of time. And so you have to have that budget and know this is our line. We're not going to go beyond this.
Yep.
And there's going to be things that I wish we had done it this way. And even when it's done the way you want it to, it's not done perfectly because homes are not perfect.
Yes.
Things go wrong. And so knowing that going in just helps your heart.
Which is so good. So how did you guys know when to move out of the apartment to the townhome and then move to a single family home?
Great question. So number one, we wanted to make sure we were out of debt and had a fully funded emergency fund.
Okay.
So post-wedding, we kind of looked at all the money that was left and went, okay, we have our emergency fund and we have some savings.
Yeah.
How much more do we want to save for the down payment? So we recommend having at least minimum 5%, 10% is better, 20% is ideal.
Amazing, yes.
Because you avoid PMI, that private mortgage insurance.
Yeah.
And we wanted to do a 15-year fixed rate mortgage. Mm-hmm. And that means your payment's going to be higher than the 30-year.
Yes.
And so we had to factor that into our budget.
Usually a better interest rate.
Yes, a much better interest rate, which is awesome. And you're paying less than half the interest over the life of the loan.
Yes, yes.
So having that all figured out and going, all right, is this going to be a quarter of our take-home pay when we have this mortgage payment? And once we had that number, we just went, great, we're ready to do this thing. And we went through the process.
And what year was that when you bought the townhome?
That was 2019.
2019. And then you guys moved to a single family home just last year?
Yeah, so about 3 years later.
Okay, I love it. That's so good. So was there anything, again, that you feel like you may have compromised? Was there anything in the house that you were like, okay, we're going to do it. It's not ideal, but we're going to do it?
Yeah, they're like in our townhome, especially with the upgrade list, there was lines we had to draw. We went, okay, we really want the level 5 tile, but we have to stick to this because of the budget. And so there's pieces of it where you just have to go, we can live with this.
Yes.
And truthfully, a home is just a giant, wonderful box. And so we are obsessed in our culture because we watch too much HGTV and too much house flipping shows where everything's gorgeous. And what you
Beautiful.
don't see is the $20, $30, $40, $50, $70,000 it took to make it beautiful and
all
hire
that
the
stuff.
interior designer and get all the furniture. And so we've made do. We've shopped on Facebook Marketplace for things where we're like, we can compromise on that. It doesn't now a couch and mattress. Emotionally, I have to buy new. But
I think that
other
makes you a
things-
fine human being. That's
Well,
great. I
some
think
people
that's
out there,
great.
Rachel, they'll just grab stuff off the street.
I know. Not a
I don't know what
mattress.
happened in that seat. No, thank you.
We don't want that seat.
So I don't compromise on everything. But
Yes,
furniture
yes.
is a big one because people go, I have to have everything all at once.
Oh, yeah.
can upgrade over time.
Build it over time. So we did. Yep.
Yeah.
And it was so
You
helpful.
and Winston lived this out.
I know, for sure. Okay, so when you think about and talk to people that are on the market, they're looking, some people want to do a sale by owner type
Oh,
situation.
yeah.
Other people want to have a realtor or a real estate agent. What would you say? I think I know what you're going to say, but what would you recommend?
Do it all yourself. You're a pro. You've got
You know
this.
the market. You're fine.
Gosh, no. No, I always work with a real estate professional.
Yes.
I feel like I'm fairly smart. Like I could figure it out. But what the real estate pros have that you don't is experience, marketing know-how, access to MLS, the multiple listing service. And so when you think about it like a marketing project, they know exactly how to stage this thing, strategize the deals,
How to get the word out.
structure
They
the
have the
deals.
ability to do that.
Versus me and some guy going back and forth, and I got to be like, hey, would you take $5,000? Like, this
Yes.
isn't a Facebook Marketplace offer. It's the biggest purchase of your life.
Yes.
And so this is not the place I'm going to skimp. You
No,
got
and
to
I think that's so good, George, because I feel like there's so many areas of our money that can feel and are more intimidating, right? The more narrow you get in a subject matter, whether that's insurance or taxes or investing or buying and selling a home, like these are really niche things that you want to be really, manage that really well. And so bringing someone in who lives in that space day in and day out, it's so helpful because like you're saying, they know everything going on.
They know the neighborhoods. They know the comps. We love a comp.
We love a good comp, but don't get somebody that's like had their license for 3 weeks and they're really trying to build it. Like,
and real
listen,
estate pros, they like some of them are like the multi-level marketing people. They're very aggressive and there's a lot of judgment and pressure of like, you got to work with me. Because remember that one time
You said
I
that
helped
you
you
were-
move.
Oh, yeah.
And so there's
So-
people like that. So you have to set some boundaries.
Yes.
And only work with a pro who has a great track record. They've been in the business a long time. And so I know you want to help your cousin, but like save that for the wedding videography because they just got a camera. But I wouldn't trust them with the biggest purchase of my life.
Yes, and it's okay. That's not a selfish thing, you guys. It's being wise. And so we have actually real estate agents all across the country that we recommend. So if you want to go to RamseySolutions.com and check out our ELP program because they are fantastic.
They're the best.
Okay, so what for you guys were some challenges when it came to buying a new home, moving,
boy.
deciding all of that? Like what were things that you look back and you're like, oh, that
Well,
was
first of all, moving will bring out the worst parts of you. I think we can just call that out, especially if you're married couples.
Yeah.
Because moving turns into like, I'm going to become a minimalist. How do we have so much crap?
That was
Where did
us.
this all
That
come
was
from?
me.
And so you start to go like, I'm going to throw away their stuff. And they're like, no, you can't get, I might use that. Cardigans might, this literally happened.
Later.
Whitney got rid of a cardigan and then she was like, cardigans are back now. And I gave it to Goodwill. Is it wrong to go back and see if they, and I was like, I think it's over.
I still want
I think
it.
it's over. But there's so much crap that Americans accumulate.
Yes.
And I go in my neighborhood and the garages, there's no space for cars anymore
know.
because we use them as storage units.
For all of
and
our
so number
stuff.
one, unexpected challenges is just having to let go of a lot and figure out what do we actually want to keep, what do we need to get rid of, and then the other task is selling stuff on Facebook Marketplace. You're like, what do we do? We did all this for $5.
I know.
And the
We
guy
felt
didn't
this.
even show up.
Yes. We sold some stuff. I'm trying to think what it was because we got some, we were like, okay, that's a worthy sale item. And there were other things that I think we brought here to Ramsey. I think there was some
Yes.
stuff we were like, somebody just take this
It
because
gets to the
it's-
point where it's a free
Yes,
yard sale.
Yes. But it feels good to kind of purge because you open up that closet that you haven't opened up since your wedding day, right? We had that. We still had wedding gifts,
Oh,
like bad
yikes.
wedding gifts that we never used.
Oh,
And it
yeah.
was
We'll
like,
do something with this.
Yep, never did. So we're like,
Oof.
get it out of here, clean it out the closet.
Don't you feel like everything is just so much more expensive than you thought it would be? Like movers in my house,
Yes.
like movers would be like $750. Their hourly rate's this. I'll multiply it, and then everything takes 4 times as long. And you're like, dude, can you please move? They're wrapping the furniture. They're taking, they're doing it right.
Right.
But it's
But even
still
getting
expensive.
boxes, like, because we like box some of our stuff, even going and getting boxes and paper and everything. And I was like, how much did we spend on boxes? That's why I'm like, just go to the
moving supplies.
Go to the liquor store. But even
That's true.
I just remember even Winston coming with a pocket. I was like, how much were those? So
all of that's
it's just all expensive.
On
It's
top of
crazy.
all the closing fees and all the stuff you just didn't think about, the
Yeah.
realtor fees. So you've got to factor
Yes.
that into your budget on top of the home price and the movers, and then the new stuff you have to get for the new house.
Yep.
And so it just keeps adding up. So I like to
so
have
much.
a more buffer than I even thought I would to cover all of that. And the challenge of the new construction. I mean, the list goes
I
on.
know.
You have to stay on top of these people. And then
Yes.
we had one where we had the countertops put in. And I thought they put in the entire wrong countertop. Because I was like, no, it was all like one nice light color. And this one had all kinds of dark swirls. And I got the actual piece of tile they showed me, the example.
And it was only one piece of
And so I showed it to even the
sure.
superintendent. He was like, yeah, that doesn't even look like. And then we plopped it onto our countertop, and it was an exact match for that piece of the countertop.
Oh, that breaks my heart.
So it was
Do you
still
hate
beautiful.
it?
No, it was beautiful.
Okay. Was this for their townhome?
This was for the town, and we learned to love it.
Oh my gosh.
But there's things like that. And even in the new home, we hired a handyman to do a lot of the upgrades and
Yeah,
things we needed
yeah.
done. And it just kept adding up. I was like, I thought this was going to take him 3 hours. It took him 9.
Yeah.
So it's triple the cost.
Of what it was. Yep.
And so, and
Totally.
especially with everything going up, labor,
Yes.
cost of supplies,
Everything.
everything is just so much more expensive now. And so
And you
got
just have to be a detailed person, regardless of whether you're moving into a new build or not. I'm like, you have to be on top of it, which is not always
That feels like a Winston thing.
it was Winston.
Did he have a spreadsheet? Because I had a spreadsheet.
Oh, George, you know
Winston's a man after my own heart.
Well, he's like a man. This is what he does. He construction. He loves it. But we literally walked up to our house when it was being built, and he was like, "That's the wrong brick color." And I was like, "What?
He knows his brick color.
Are y'all ready for this?" Where the brick was manufactured, he was like, "We got the Mississippi white grain brick. That looks like the Georgia white grain brick, or whatever." It was 2 different states. And we picked one state, which I didn't even know what the difference, and the dependent on, are you ready for this? The humidity of the state, like North Carolina humidity versus Mississippi humidity, and the way the brick curates
It
or whatever.
affected the color?
It affects the color. I mean, like, by like that much. I mean, someone like me would not have noticed.
That's
but Winston
amazing.
totally, they were like doing like half of a wall, and he was like, that's definitely not our
You know what I
brick.
just realized? Winston is a construction sommelier.
Is that,
You know what I mean? Like a wine, like he understands the brick.
he knew,
He
and
knows
I thought,
every kind of grout color that's out there.
oh, and I was like, or baseboard inches, I don't know. It's crazy.
I'm not
But I
that
was like,
level.
I would never have known. But thank
And
God
most
he
people
noticed.
don't care.
And most people don't care. But also, it's like, this is what you pay for. Like,
Yes.
we want to get what we want. To your point,
Exactly.
Put a countertop on that I think is pretty. Not one piece of it that's pretty. So like, it's a lot, y'all. It's a lot.
That
but
is
it's
a lot.
But it is.
One thing I
it's
did,
fine.
Rachel,
It's fine.
with new construction, because they show you one piece of grout and they show you one tile for the kitchen backsplash, and they go, "This is what your kitchen will look like." I'm like, I have no idea what that's going to look like.
Oh, yeah.
So I made a little keynote presentation where I found it all online and like put all the pictures together in one area with our furniture, and was like, okay, this gives me the vibe. So I am extra, but it helped me because
Be
I
able
was
to
like,
see it.
I thought I was going to have a 3D rendering where I could like walk through my own future house.
Oh yeah.
We're not that level yet.
No, we're
you
not
know?
that.
The technology-
We weren't that level either, George.
It's fine.
It's fine.
But there's a lot of things you just have to, you can't be a perfectionist when it comes to moving and buying a home.
Yes, that's right. That's all good. So good. Okay, so couple of things off the top of your head. Okay, so George, what were some stressors for you guys that you didn't think about and you're like, oh wow, this is good to know for the future?
Well, for starters, doing the research ahead of time and taking it little by little. So it's a part-time job.
Yes.
You've got to think about this stuff a little bit each per day so that it's not too much all at once.
That's good.
And research is a big part of who are all the people I need to get in touch with to make this smooth.
Yes.
From the movers to the handymen to friends who can help me move.
There's
to
a lot there.
Where I'm getting the boxes from. Maybe I'm going to go to work and see if people have moving boxes because someone else just moved.
Yep.
And so you've got to be really resourceful, utilize your network, Facebook groups in your area, your neighborhood, and your workplace. That's a
good.
huge help.
Okay, that's great.
And then decluttering your home before you start packing, get rid of as much stuff as possible.
Yes.
Because it's just going to go to another spot in your house where you'll never see it again.
That's right.
And so get rid of it now to save time, money, headaches, all of that.
Yes, that's a
huge.
huge one because the less boxes that are being moved, the more money you're going to save over time. So,
Yes.
it's good.
And I'm a moving, I hire movers. I don't ask friends
Yeah.
to help me move the big stuff.
Yes.
But if that's you you got to ask ahead of time, get clear people's schedules, get them to commit, get a babysitter on moving day or doggy daycare for if you got the pups.
Yes.
And so I'm sure Winston's always like, yeah, they can borrow the truck for the big move. That's why people buy trucks, apparently.
Use the truck to go and move. No, he's not. I don't think
He's better than that.
Back in the day, we did.
I'd rather support a GoFundMe for you to hire movers than to help
Let
you move.
them do that.
Yeah,
Let
that's a
them
young
do
man's
that.
game.
I know.
But
absolutely.
the biggest one to me is just actually budgeting for it. So we
Yes.
had a spreadsheet of all of the expenses. We were keeping track of everything we were spending,
Yep.
what our top line budget was, and we stuck to it. We had
So
to
good.
compromise.
Well, I think that's a big thing too, is because it's amazing how quickly money can be spent in this process. And so being as diligent as possible, knowing upfront what things are going to cost on the financial side, I think you're exactly right, George, having that budget and sticking to it. Also, I would say I went through and took pictures of like the kitchen.
Smart.
Took pictures in our bathroom, everything, and I knew where I wanted all of our plates and our silverware and Tupperware and spices. Like I knew where I wanted everything and I labeled it on my phone. So
That's
when we had people
genius.
come and help us unpack, because I had a baby. Charles was 2 weeks old when we moved.
Y'all are crazy.
Well, I know, it was crazy.
That was chaos.
I know. But then you get to like delegate everything and I didn't like
Sorry.
which is great.
Got a baby.
I got a baby.
But labeling is smart.
Yeah, and so when people came in to help, they knew exactly where I wanted everything already. So doing as much as you can ahead of time is really big. And then, yeah, we went and packed all of like our breakables, all the things that would have cost a moving company a lot more to pack. They charge
Yes.
more.
Oh my gosh.
We just
Pack
did it
yourself.
ourselves. We just took a few nights. I remember, did our china, did our dishes, did our cookware, all of that.
That's a good reminder. Just do a little bit each night
Yes.
versus like, we're going to do it all the week
Which
of.
was no, that's stressful. So spread it out. And that helps, lower the stress, but it's a lot. This is a big decision. It's a big deal. So it's good to be prepared.
And we're going to move again one day, probably. You know, most
Yeah.
people are going to move a lot in their lifetime.
Yes.
So get good at it.
Yeah.
Learn
you
from
can
your
do this.
mistakes.
You can do this. So great. George, thanks for being on.
Always a pleasure.
So appreciate your insights,
Always an
your
honor.
help. And if you guys know somebody that is going to be moving, make sure to send them this video and so that they can know the do's and the don'ts to their moving. Now, George,
Love it.
where can everyone find you?
Well, of course, we have our own show called Smart Money Happy Hour. So you can catch that on podcast and YouTube.
So good.
And I have a new YouTube channel that's a blast. So
Great, you
everyone
guys.
who's watching this, go to my YouTube channel. It's just under my name, George Camel
Yep.
with a K. And we're putting out 3 videos a week over there that are just dialed up, all the humor, all the fun.
So good.
So check that out.
Good content, you guys. Make sure to check that out and go to RamseySolutions.com if you want some other resources on the do's and the don'ts. And there's a moving checklist you can check out and a digital form that you can fill out to get a quote from Pods and so much more. So I'll put all those links in the description, so make sure to check it out. Well, George, thanks for being on again,
Good times.
as always. And remember, you guys, to take control of your money and create a life you love.